Imagine waking up tomorrow and discovering something impossible. Earth isn't just a planet. Earth is alive, not metaphorically, not just an ecosystem. Earth itself is a gigantic biological organism, and everything living on its surface is part of its body. So what would that actually mean? Earth would need something similar to organs. The atmosphere could function like lungs, constantly exchanging gases. The oceans could act like a circulatory system, carrying heat, chemicals, and nutrients around the planet. Rivers could be like blood vessels, transporting materials from one place to another. Forests could work like specialized organs, absorbing carbon dioxide, producing oxygen, storing energy, and regulating Earth's chemistry. And beneath our feet, the soil could function like a gigantic digestive system, breaking down dead organisms and recycling their nutrients. Even the smallest microorganisms could have an important role. Bacteria and fungi might be like microscopic cells carrying out chemical reactions that keep the entire planet functioning. What would humans be? We could be something like specialized cells inside Earth's body. Individually, one human would be almost insignificant compared with the entire planet. But billions of humans acting together could have a huge effect. Now look at humanity. We extract enormous amounts of Earth's resources. We change landscapes. We release huge amounts of gases into the atmosphere. We alter oceans, forests, and ecosystems. From this perspective, humans might look almost like a rapidly multiplying population of cells. But that doesn't necessarily mean Earth would hate us. A biological organism doesn't need emotions to respond to a disturbance. If Earth's systems were biological, it might simply try to restore balance. What happens when cells inside an organism multiply too quickly or damage surrounding tissue? The entire organism can become unstable. If humanity became extremely destructive, behaved like a biological infection, continuously consuming resources while damaging the larger organism, Earth's natural systems could eventually become increasingly hostile to the conditions humans need to survive. Not because Earth decided to kill us, but because the planet's attempt to reach a new equilibrium could conflict with human civilization. Humanity might then face a choice: adapt to Earth or lose the conditions that allow our civilization to exist. But there's an even more interesting possibility. If Earth were conscious, it might understand something we often forget. Humans aren't separate from the planet. Destroying forests damages us. Polluting oceans damages us. Changing the climate damages us. So Earth wouldn't necessarily need to fight humanity. It could simply let cause and effect teach us. Climate change wouldn't simply be humans damaging the environment. It could be equivalent to cells disrupting the balance of their own body. Destroying ecosystems wouldn't just mean losing resources. It could mean damaging organs that help maintain the entire planetary system. And protecting nature wouldn't simply be about saving other species. It would be about maintaining the health of the larger organism we're already part of. A conscious Earth might not want to eliminate humanity. Earth's perception of time was completely different from ours. A human life might last less than a blink. A civilization could rise and disappear almost instantly. A mountain might grow and erode like a slowly moving part of its body. From Earth's perspective, thousands of years might feel like a short moment. A forest spreading might be part of its biological activity. An ocean current changing could be part of its internal regulation. A volcanic eruption could be something closer to a physiological process than a disaster. If we continue the thought experiment and give Earth actual biological limbs, Earth isn't just a giant organism, but a planet-sized creature with enormous arms and legs. They might be made from geological structures. Mountains could form bones or joints. Tectonic plates could act like muscle groups. Volcanic regions could generate metabolic energy. Oceans and groundwater could transport nutrients through the limbs. Forests and ecosystems could cover them like living tissue. The movement would be incredibly slow. If Earth lifted an arm, humans might not even notice at first. Over decades or centuries, however, coastlines and landscapes could shift dramatically. The movement would displace unimaginable amounts of water. That could create planetary-scale tsunamis, earthquakes, atmospheric disturbances, and changes in ocean currents. A simple movement that feels gentle to Earth could be catastrophic to civilization. If Earth actually stood up and walked, its movement would radically change its rotation in orbit. But there's a major physics problem. Earth is already orbiting the Sun at roughly 30 kilometers per second. A biological Earth couldn't simply stand up and walk around without violating the physical constraints that keep the planet in orbit. So for a scientifically plausible version of the story, Earth's limbs would probably need to move extremely slowly while remaining part of its existing planetary structure. But now comes the final question. If Earth were truly a conscious, biological creature, with enormous limbs, a living body, and humanity existing on its surface as independent creatures, how many of us would survive? If humanity had only a few years to prepare, perhaps only 10 to 30% of humans could survive the initial transformation. Cities near coastlines could be devastated, infrastructure could collapse, food systems could fail, and billions of people might be forced to abandon the places they once called home. In the end, humanity may not be completely erased, but our civilization could be. Billions could disappear as Earth awakens, moves, and reshapes its living body. The survivors would inherit a world they no longer control. A world that is conscious, unpredictable, and alive. Because when the planet itself becomes the creature, humanity is no longer the dominant species. We are simply survivors.